Hi, my name is Ani Zubenko, and today I will be doing my presentation on the developmental world of Matilda Wormwood. So, Matilda is an extraordinarily gifted 6-year-old whose intelligence is way beyond her age, yet she is neglected and belittled at home by her self-absorbed and anti-intellectual parents who actively discourage her love of reading. She is mostly left to raise herself, and she teaches herself to read by age 3 and devours adult literature from the local library. At school, she is mistreated by the strict headmistress, Miss Trunchbull, but finds a caring relationship with her teacher, Miss Honey. Over the course of the film, Matilda discovers that she has telekinetic powers, which she uses to protect herself and her classmates. This story follows Matilda's path toward a healthier and more supportive home as Miss Honey adopts her. So by age, Matilda falls into Piaget's pre-operational stage, but she thinks more like a much older child. She reads adults' novels such as Dickens and Hemingway, and does fast mental math to outsmart her father. She also reasons clearly about fairness when she stands up to Miss Trunchbull. Piaget would expect a child her age to still struggle with logic and abstract thinking, but Matilda is well past that point. Vygotsky's theory explains her growth better than Piaget's. Matilda mostly teaches herself with help from outside sources, like library books and the librarian, Miss Phelps, and later Miss Honey's guided lessons, which meet her right where she is rather than waiting for her to hit a fixed stage in her life. So, Matilda's speaking and understanding of language are far beyond ahead of a typical first grader. She talks in full and well-formed sentences, uses precise words with adults, and taught herself to read well before school started, reportedly reading newspapers and novels by age 3. Most first graders are still learning to sound out words and build simple sentences, but Matilda is already reading adult books and reasoning abstractly, which is well past what is typical for her grade. Her parents tell her that reading is a waste of time. Research shows that talking and reading with children helps their vocabulary grow, so this is a missed opportunity. She argues her case to her father about watching TV, corrects adults when they get their grammar wrong, and talks about literature with Miss Honey in a way that is very unusual for her age. Miss Honey gives her harder books to read and talks to her in a way that matches and stretches her existing language skills. Harry and Zinnia Wormwood show what Baumrind calls an uninvolved or neglected parent style, little warmth and few expectations. They dismiss Matilda's feelings, put television and their own interests ahead of her needs, and sometimes treat her intelligence with open hostility, calling her a liar and a nuisance instead of engaging with her. The Wormwood parents display little warmth and little structure. They ignore her achievements, withhold basic attention and affection, and chip away at her own self-worth. Miss Honey, though, later she offers high warmth with her clear and fair structure. She recognizes Matilda's abilities, sets clear expectations, and stays emotionally supportive to her. Baumrind 1991 researchers consistently links uninvolved parenting to lower self-esteem and weaker social skills, while authoritative parenting is linked to higher self-esteem and stronger academic outcomes. Matilda's resilience, despite neglect, and how much she improves once Miss Honey offers an authoritative relationship fits with this pattern closely. So Matilda's social world centers in her first grade classroom at Crunchin Hall. She has a close friendship with her classmate Lavender, who admires her cleverness and brings her into classroom schemes, like the prank on Miss Trunchbull. Rather than getting split into smaller cliques, the whole classroom acts as one group united against Miss Trunchbull's harsh rule. Lavender is a true close friend, a two-way bond built on loyalty and shared experiences. There is no exclusive clique here. Instead, the classroom acts as a larger group bonded by their shared experience as Miss Trunchbull targets, which brings otherwise different children together. Matilda is well-liked rather than rejected or ignored by her peers. Classmates respect her courage and cleverness, and she becomes something of a quiet leader during the conflict with Miss Trunchbull. This is notable because gifted children, especially those far ahead of their peers, are sometimes at higher risk of being left out or rejected, which is found by the Davidson Institute for Talent Development. Matilda's outcome instead matches research finding that many gifted elementary-age children are well liked by their classrooms rather than socially penalized, which is also found by the same source. The David Institute for Talent Development in 2023 found that researchers studying peer relationships sort children into five groups: popular, rejected, neglected, controversial, and average. Giftedness can raise the risk of isolation when there's a large gap between a child's intellectual and social maturity, but other research finds gifted elementary children are often well liked by classmates, which fits Matilda's story better than the isolation pattern. So Matilda has a clear and accurate picture of who she is. She's highly intelligent, principled, and capable. She knows she needs to read at an advanced level, solves problems faster than adults, and sees herself as someone who values fairness and truth. How she feels about herself is shakier. Her parents' dismissal hurts her sense of worth early on, but steady encouragement from Miss Phelps and Miss Honey, plus her own success, lets her self-esteem grow over the course of the film instead of breaking down. Some key influences on Matilda's sense of self is the parental neglect, Miss Phelps' encouragement, Miss Honey's mentorship, and the academic and telekinetic mastery. Looking at the temperament traits described by Feldman, Matilda's low in activity behind persistence, adaptability, and willingness to approach new situations. Like a new book or any challenge, her mood is generally positive. She is not easily distracted, but she can focus intensely on tasks like reading for long stretches. Matilda's calm and curious nature clashes sharply with her parents' chaotic and anti-intellectual household. There's little fit at her home. Her need for stimulation and quiet goes unmet and unsupported. What's a good fit is Miss Honey's classroom for her. Miss Honey meets Matilda's intensity and curiosity with advanced material and one-on-one attention. The strong fit supports healthy emotional regulation and engagement. Chesson Thomas found that goodness of fit framework argues that healthy development depends less on a child's temperament itself and more on whether the caregiving environment works with that temperament. The mismatch at home, compared with the fit Miss Honey provides, helps explain why Matilda's emotional experience looks so different across different settings. So Matilda lives with her mother, brother, and father in a suburban American neighborhood. A two-parent household on paper, but the family is neglectful in practice. The Wormwoods are emotionally, intellectually absent, even though they are physically present. Research on family structure finds that an intact two-parent household is generally protective, but structure alone does not guarantee a child's well-being. The quality of the parent-child relationship matters more than the makeup of the household. This was found by Iowa State University in 2020. Matilda's case shows directly. She has the structure of a stable family but lacks the warmth and engagement that research links to good outcomes, which shows how a family acts matters more than how it looks on paper. Matilda's neighborhood is a quiet, middle-class suburb with safe streets, public library, and a nearby elementary school, all within walking distance. This safe and well-resourced setting likely softens some of the harm from her life by giving her independent access to enriching places like the library. Research consistently finds that relationship quality, not family structure alone, predicts how well children adjust, and that their neighborhood resources like the library or safe public spaces can meaningfully soften risks presented at home. So Miss Trunchbull's school-wide climate features is very harsh, fear-based, and strict. Physical punishment and public humiliation dominate a climate that research links to anxiety, disengagement, and weaker academic outcomes found by Feldman. Miss Honey's classroom, on the other hand, is warm, personalized, and intellectually engaging. She tailors instruction to Matilda's level and builds a trusting relationship. A climate research links to stronger engagement and achievement. So Matilda is clearly engaged rather than withdrawn from school overall. Even under Miss Trunchbull's harsh rule, she stays curious and participates actively, and her engagement grows even more when she's placed with Miss Honey. This supports the broader finding that a supportive teacher relationship can keep a child engaged and protect against withdrawal, even when the wider school climate is harsh. So understanding Matilda's development matters more for future educators and clinicians because it shows that giftedness and neglect can happen at the same time. Intellectual strengths do not protect a child from the emotional harm of an unsupportive home. Professionals working with a child like Matilda should prioritize giving individualized academic challenge that matches the child's actual ability and not just grade level assumptions. Screening for neglect and unmet emotional needs, even when academic performance looks strong. Building one steady, trusting adult relationship, which research shows can buffer risk, and watching peer relationships for early signs of isolation linked to gaps in ability. Thank you for listening.